curiosity. And one weird fact that really stood out to me was when I looked into it. The bombing itself happened, I had taken a note, it was 2:45 a.m. Can you imagine that? Just 2:45 in the morning, just, man, I for some reason my mind always pictures stuff like that happening during the daytime, but man, 2:45 at night, that's devastating.
I mean, just
Actually, I have to add, put in one correction.
Yeah, no, have at it.
Please, because I'm so curious about this story.
They left the tarmac at about 2 o'clock in the morning from Tinian Island, and then they met up with the instrument planes, and so they actually dropped the bomb at, I do believe the exact time was 8:15 in the morning. There are clocks out there that have stopped at the exact time that the bomb went off. They're Japanese artifacts.
Wow.
That's creepy.
That just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Just like time literally stops, just from an attack, literally just stops right then and there.
How long did it take you to research this? This is obviously a time-consuming project.
I got the permission from the author in early 2015. I started researching it in 2016, and life kind of gets in the way of things sometimes. Illness or deaths in the family, things like that. So it took a little bit more time than I would have liked, but I'd say in 2020, I started writing, and it took me about 13 months to finish the screenplay altogether, like copyright, satisfied, this is how it's going to be.
All right, so you committed to the one, it's copywritten now.
Yes.
So now what's the next move? You have to shop it around?
I do. I'm shopping it around. I did have a lot of help. I have to give a shout out to Martin Harwitt, who is the author of the book, who is the director of the National Air and Space Museum, who actually went through this controversy.
Right.
And he's also an astrophysicist and probably the smartest man I have ever met.
Good Lord.
But also the most humble. And then I also worked with an Academy Award nominee director, but he's a documentarian. So this is kind of out of his wheelhouse. And he's been doing it so long that he doesn't have agents anymore or any of that stuff. So I'm pretty much trying to, cold query or take it around and just talk to people and maybe find a producer or an agent. A management company is something I would consider. But I don't really need a lot of help on development with this.
Right, you need someone to open doors.
Exactly.
Right.
But at the same time, everyone I've worked with who's touched this has made it better in some way. I'm very open to working with people and other people's ideas. And especially, once something goes into production, there are so many other people involved in bringing it to life.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, and I'm not playing devil's advocate, but in the event, let's say it does get published, is this possibly controversial? Do you think it's going to ruffle some feathers?
Oh, I'm kicking the hornet's nest.
Yeah, and that's what it sounds like, So it's ballsy, but you did plenty of research, and the fact that you have someone that's obviously published that's co-signing, for lack of a better term, or gave you permission to.
He is the co-sign. Yeah, he's the
co-sign. Let me be clear. He said that he feels that he's too close to the event to either endorse it or condemn it.
Okay.
So he's been very involved in fact checking, and if I get too far away from something, he's like, well, that's more creative. That's not as factual as I would like it to be. So he has already said that he has no intention of taking press questions or anything of that nature. He's kind of the man in the middle.
Understandable.
But he's instrumental in putting this together and getting the screenplay to a point where it was accurate but also interesting and showed all the moving parts that really happened. And I don't know if I've really given you a synopsis.
I was gonna ask. I was gonna poke the bear.
Okay.
Please do.
Okay.
Set a scene for us. The way that I was gonna ask is because also to play slight devil's advocate. I have a love-hate relationship with the movie Pearl Harbor. So what makes your screenplay different? And then could you set the scene for us on how your screenplay would actually start out? Like, kind of, can you give us like a verbal trailer, if you will?
Sure. Well, the screenplay, the first scene in the screenplay is a kamikaze attack on the USS Franklin in 1944 in the Pacific Theater. So it kind of starts out with a bang. And then we transition into 1956. Martin Harwitt is a 25-year-old physicist working for the Army Chemical Corps. And he is working on top secret hydrogen bomb testing. And he sets up on a lush, with his squadron, of course, they set up detectors on this lush palm encrusted island, and a 3 megaton H-bomb goes off the next day and basically annihilates half the island, and the rest is turned to about fist-sized rubble. And that really has an effect on his psyche that later on congressmen call into question and ask him whether or not it's his personal beliefs influencing this exhibit versus America's history, quote unquote. But after that, we fast forward to 1987, and he is the director of the National Air and Space Museum. He was a astronomy professor or the director of the astronomy department at Cornell for 25 years. He's MIT trained astrophysicist. He's written, I think now it's 5 or 6 books on the topic. And he's just a very accomplished man. So he went into the National Air and Space Museum, and the Enola Gay had been found in 1980 in pieces in a shed. And so they started putting her back together and trying to restore her.
Wait, time out, in a shed?
Well, it was in storage.
Yeah, it just seems like such a big, historical, such a historical moment to have maybe preserved instead of just kind of stored away where you can't really. I don't know, in my mind when I hear a shed.
You're absolutely
But
right.
yeah.
And in 1946, it was decommissioned the year after it dropped the bomb. And then nobody got rid of it because it was the Enola Gay, but they moved it around and they disassembled it, and certain things like there are instructions on the manual that says whatever you do not disassemble these wings.
Yeah.
And then Andrews Air Force Base disassembled the wings, and the Smithsonian actually found it outside in elements at Andrews Air Force Base, not completely demolished, but taken apart.
Yeah.
And there were birds' nests in there, wires everywhere.
Because
The
like I
turret
lived in
was
Pensacola
smashed.
forever, and you would always see planes and old Blue Angel jets just sitting in a field, and they're just kind of, like you said, in the elements, they're just kind of rotting away, and it's kind of sad sometimes.
Right. So the Smithsonian did take it to try to stop the carnage that was happening to it, but they weren't really doing much with it other than keeping it in storage and keeping it out of the elements. And in 1980, 4 members of the 509, which is the 509 crew, is the crew that actually dropped the bomb. And 4 members went to this storage area and found the Enola Gay in this situation, and they started writing letters, and they started talking to the American Legion and Veterans of the Foreign Wars, and really pressured NASA to restore it. So in 1984, they started the restoration. And in 1987, Martin Harwitt came on the scene as the director. And he continued, overseeing the restoration. And then everyone wanted an exhibit of the restored fuselage. And that is where the controversy really starts happening. They write an exhibit that, how do I say it? They write an exhibit that doesn't just take you through the history of the use of the atomic bombs in the war, but it exposes what happens to the Japanese after the detonation.
That's always been what I've been curious about, is the recovery efforts that happened afterwards. Is, you know, just how was it handled? How was it addressed? What kind of precautions were taken? It's always a curiosity point.
It even didn't get that far. They did talk about that. Well, they would have talked about that in the exhibit, but it did get edited out.
Like redacted?
Well,
That's my word of the week. I've been using that a lot. Redacted.
Good word. Well, the actual script went through 6 versions because there was so much controversy around what was being included. There were declassified documents that suggested that Truman may have had alternatives to using the atomic weapon to end the war. And that is really what...
Like what? Like what?
Yeah, excuse the pun, drop a bomb. I had to.
Well, there was an invading force. There were staging areas all over the Pacific with Pacific vets, Pacific service members, staged to do an invasion of the mainland of China. There was the Soviet entrance into that theater where they hadn't been involved before.
Right.
They were willing to go into Japan with us. And then there were conventional blockades. Our naval blockades were basically starving out any kind of supplies that the Japanese had to continue war. And then there were, and these are a little bit more controversial, maybe not so much this later on, after historians have examined them, but there may have been coded messages for the Japanese to want to negotiate with the United States a brokered peace where they got to keep their emperor, because one of the requirements for the end of World War II is unconditional surrender, which meant that the Japanese would have to surrender
It's all or
the
nothing.
emperor everything.
Yeah, it's all or nothing.
And they weren't willing to surrender the emperor. That was their god, that was their leader.
She's not the CIA kicking our door anymore.
No, that's what I'm like, damn it, this is
I
ballsy.
feel it. I feel it. We're going to have to barricade the door.
Yeah, take them first.
Yeah.
They made me do it. They made me talk about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't talk about it.
So how when you, how does this work now? Is this script available to people, or is it accessible, or is it right now it's just in the preliminary stages? I mean, you completed it. So now you're shopping around in hopes, like, can anyone just read it? Does anyone
You
have
can
it?
read it like a book. Yeah.
Well, actually,
Is it accessible?
It is if you contact me.
Okay.
Because I do not think that I don't have any social media. I don't think that a screenplay can be judged by hits, because
Sure.
a lot of people don't even know how to read one, because it's such a different type of writing than you're used to in novels. So what I did is I set up an email account called enola.script@gmail.com.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to talk about it, read it, if they have any questions about it, if they want to yell at me for anything I said here, you know.
If the CIA kick our door, and next time we just redirect them to your email address.
Exactly, that's how you can find me.
Could you repeat that email address just one more time?
It's enola.script@gmail.com.
And that's ENOLA.
Correct.
Enola.
Yes. And the script for the Enola Gay, the first script was called The Crossroads, and then it got renamed The Last Act. And the people at NASA, Martin as the director, reached out to the AFA, which is the Air Force Association, which is a lobbying group. They also have individual members, but they reached out for their personal comments, and instead of doing that, they released this copy of the script publicly.
Wow.
And they wrote the special analysis of it that talked about how many photographs were of women and children and mutilated religious objects, and they really took the entire spirit of, you know, showing both the Japanese perspective and the American perspective out of it, and they took it all out of context, and it became very much a, people felt like it was anti-American.
Right.
And it really, it was pro-education, but the theme of this is really fact versus fear, and truth versus propaganda. And the propaganda machine started with the AFA releasing that, and from that moment, everybody at NASA, including Martin, was on the defensive, and they were backpedaling, and they were going on television shows and radio shows and trying to express, you know, what the exhibit was about. But the AFA had 200,000 members on their own, and the museum had 280 employees. So there was quite a disparaging amount of effort there. And the AFA eventually linked up with the American Legion, and I believe that's about another 3 million veterans. And they were, I feel like they were misleading the veterans. I mean, personally.
That wouldn't be a first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it became a very big power struggle at the top of these veteran groups. You know, the commander of the American Legion, or the executive director of the AFA, and how much political pull they could have. And they did have senators in their pockets, and they did have congressmen in their pockets, and so much so that they blatantly wrote it and gave it to Martin to put it in his book.
Wow.
So
Calculated.
they were.
Martin's gonna have our door kicked in by the
Yeah.
CDs.
Damn it.
They weren't shy about it at all. They said they had certain people, you know, eating out of their hand. They were, that it was a feeding frenzy, and they were feeding them.
Good Lord.
And you know,
Now I can't wait to read it. I have to read it.
It's a historical event that I want to know so much more about.
Yeah.
You know, with just everything that happened in Pearl Harbor, and then you know, the after effects. I want to know about just literally everything, because it's a lot of movies, but like you really want to get the real. And like you said, Martin fact checked it, so I really want to read.
Oh yes, Martin's
lot
book
more.
is very factual. And what I did is I weaved in flashbacks to World War II, so you could have a what's the word for it? You could have a reference point for what they're arguing about now, 50 years later.
Oh.
So there are flashbacks to kamikaze attacks, to Okinawa, to POWs being liberated. There are flashbacks to when the bomb goes off. There is an actual exhibit that is being built during this whole controversy. They're still having to build this exhibit walls, pictures, everything. They left off as much text as possible, so they could get it all hammered out in the exhibit script.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, because this is Talking Schmutz, and we like to make our guests answer some randomness. You think?
Yo,
You wanna
I
get?
feel like I've been random the whole time.
No,
No, that's all right.
No, we get random. You wanna ask Jen a couple fun questions and a get to know Jen moment?
Sure.
All right. You wanna kick it off?
Hell no.
I
No,
know
you brought it up. No.
All right. So we know you're a history buff. So what else is Jen into? Before I start firing at you like a lightning round, I want to ask you what else is Jen into, so we can get a kind of feel of what the screenwriter is all about.
Well, I am into psychological thrillers. I like
Uh-oh.
horror.
Uh-oh.
I don't want to get into too much about my other projects because everybody talks about ideas being stolen, but I can be really general. One is going to be a horror about a succubus.
Uh-oh.
And that,
See, Halloween's coming up, so I'm stoked about this.
that I'm turning into a series. so I want to do an entire season of that one, and I'm working on that right now. And then the other one is actually about a bipolar young woman who also finds out she's a medium. So
Oh, fuck.
her grasp,
Bipolar and medium?
and
Yeah,
medium.
my ladies would be all over that.
But she doesn't know it.
Oh,
first.
man.
So
Oh, I gotta date that one.
I've already dated that.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
so
man.
she's always grappling with her grip on reality.
Imagine
and-
that.
Yeah, so
Fucking
that is
right.
going to be a feature.
So what's your favorite horror flick?
My favorite horror flick,
That's a hard question, right?
Yeah,
no, I'm trying to think. Well, gory horror, I love Hostel.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Oh,
like,
you go
I did
dark
not
with
expect that. She
it.
went for the hardcore. Nice.
All right.
yeah,
What else you got?
dark, let's see.
Non-gory, suspenseful thriller. What's your go-to?
Non-gory suspenseful thriller. I knew you guys were going to ask me this, and I had.
Everybody always has their list
prepared.
before they come in, and they never remember it.
Yeah,
Me included.
I don't remember it. Thrillers. Let's see.
Law and Order or Blue Bloods?
Ooh, now we're
You
getting
don't?
down to it.
You don't watch those?
I used to watch Law and Order. I never watched Blue Bloods.
All right, I watch Blue Bloods, but hear me out.
All right.
I watch Blue Bloods specifically to put me to sleep.
Fuck off.
I'm in season 5 right now, and I've only seen the first 20 minutes of every episode. I have no idea how it resolves. I have nothing, right?
Really?
So here's the thing: if you really start Blue Bloods from season 1 going on, the beginning of the episode always starts out with is it Tom Selleck?
Yeah.
With Tom Selleck sitting his fat ass down in his chair, in his captain's chair in his office, and that's pretty much somewhere around like the 15-minute mark.
Show.
And then I'm almost out right about there.
That's it. Every
Blue
15-minute
Bloods
mark is written.
knocks me out. I've never seen the end of an episode, but the build-up is fantastic, and the next thing you know, I'm out.
That's it.
Blue Bloods guaranteed, man.
Wow, that's
I've
not
never
the
seen
best endorsement I've ever heard.
Ever at all. No, I'm on the flip side of that. I love it.
I will have to say that pretty much anything Quentin Tarantino or Oliver
There
Stone
you go. Okay.
is
Yeah.
up my alley.
I was
Huge
like,
Tarantino
up your
fan.
road.
I'm
Yeah,
a huge
all right.
Tarantino fan.
Yeah, no, I love him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love him.
What's your favorite Tarantino movie? Now that's a hard question.
Well, it's either the classic is Reservoir Dogs.
Oh,
He did
yeah,
it
damn
with
right.
like $20,000
Yeah.
that he made off of residuals.
Credit cards or something like that. I heard.
No.
Or something? No, that was Spike Lee. My apologies.
No,
Yeah.
He was in an episode of Golden Girls as an Elvis impersonator, as
What?
one of like
That's right.
15 Elvis impersonators. And when Golden Girls went into syndication, he got a check, and he took that check and he made Reservoir Dogs.
Shout out to Betty White.
Yeah.
For making dreams come true.
See, I could see Tarantino like peddling mushrooms to come up with the funding, but I didn't realize it
He's
came
definitely
from
on a couple scenes written into his movies.
So I think that's genius, and I do like Django Unchained.
Well, as a history buff, how did you feel about? I mean, it wasn't necessarily historically accurate, but how did you feel about *Inglourious Bastards*? I feel like a lot of people have a love-hate relationship. Like you either loved it or you didn't.
Well, the first time I saw it, I was like, okay, I like the blade and the little mark
Mhm.
that Brad Pitt's character left for every Nazi German.
And I want my scalps.
Exactly. The ending, I was kind of conflicted about, and then I
Yeah.
watched it again, and I love it because it's Quentin.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Well, his I put the writing in that one maybe in like his top 3 as far as like it's so many characters in that movie and they're all just written so well where you feel like you know each and every character, and I feel like the same. I mean, it's Tarantino. You know every character, but I feel like *Inglourious Bastards* for me, I feel like it had to be one of his biggest challenges because he really established some real deep characters there. So when people start getting off, you're like, ugh, cut me deep. That scene where they're under the wood flooring in that cabinet when Christopher Waltz first comes onto scene, that is one of the best scenes of all time where he's talking to I think he was Polish maybe, where he's talking to the
French.
father and they're all under the floor.
Mhm.
Oh man, anxiety attack.
I could be wrong, but I do believe that Quentin Tarantino also wrote Natural Born Killers.
Damn, I have to look at
I I do believe it got rewritten.
I have to say the Pablo line on that one. That seems like it grows legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he wrote True Romance.
Did he really?
Yeah.
He wrote True Romance.
Wow.
But I thought that he originally wrote Natural Born Killers, and then it got rewrote, and other people got the writing credits for it, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be
Like Woody
mistaken.
Harrelson, Natural Born Killers, right?
Yeah. was
Oliver
he-
Stone directed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah. Screenplay written by Quentin Tarantino.
Oh shit, did not know
Yeah.
that. See?
That
I'm
is a
getting
cult
educated as we
classic
go.
that you have to watch. That is probably.
No, I like the movie, but I never knew he wrote the screenplay for that.
Damn.
Who knew? Well, she knew. Jen knew.
I might have to watch that tonight.
That's a hashtag, Jen knew.
On mushrooms. I'll watch it on mushrooms.
2 ends.
All right, so let's continue to get to know Jen. What you got? Curveball it.
I was gonna do an episode of White People Turnip Records.
Oh, I heard you guys
Yeah,
do
'cause-
that.
yeah.
So you were just telling us that you listened to a bunch of episodes.
Yes,
so
I did.
so
what tracks did we miss?
Yeah.
Did you mess?
what's
Wow.
what's
Yeah.
your go-to when you're on a road trip or you're
Yeah.
having some friends over and you just kind of want to waken things up? What is your turn-up track?
Oh God, what's the name of it?
You can.
You know the name of it, the pineapple one.
Pineapple Express.
No,
Well,
the
wait.
pina colada.
Pina coladas.
Oh, Jimmy Buffett.
Nice.
Pina colada.
We named that,
Was
didn't
that Jimmy
we?
Buffett?
We
Yeah,
did
right, was
we
it
did
Jimmy
that one
Buffett?
and
I don't think it
Margaritaville.
Yeah.
No,
and
that's
Margaritaville
that's
is the one that
not
we missed, right?
Pina
right.
coladas by
Yeah,
Rupert
absolutely.
somebody.
Yeah. There you go.
Do you actually drink pina coladas while listening to it?
I love pina coladas, and I will drink it at any
There you go. That's how I want to start my day. Shit.
All right, Jimmy Buffett. I don't know if I couldn't think of any that I missed.
I think I only know like 3 of his
Jimmy
songs.
Buffett wrote that song because I don't like Jimmy Buffett.
You know?
It was
no.
Rupert Holmes.
No.
Said you do that.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that is him, isn't it?
Jen. It was Rupert Holmes.
He smokes a gang load of grass too, doesn't he?
Jimmy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'd like to hang out with like him and Snoop at the same time.
you trying to die? You want to put Willie Nelson in there and just
Oh
actively
yeah, wrap
die?
it up with Lil Willie. Shit. Hell yeah, Willie's still around?
There's no way in hell I would smoke with those two. I'd be in the
You
hospital.
absolutely would. You owe it to yourself.
You can't. All right. Well, with Snoop, you can't pass it up. It's a rule.
Not no doubt.
Did you see the video where Snoop passes a joint or a blunt to a cop at a concert? And the cop smoked it, and they
Shut
found
up,
the
really?
cop. Yes,
Fuck
yes.
off. I want to see
And they
this.
found the cop afterwards, and he was just like, "Well, Snoop, man, like you don't say no to Snoop."
Yeah. Isn't that
Snoop
a
could walk into your
career-limiting
job and
move?
pass you wanted, you could be like,
Well, look, so check this shit out. When at Zamora, fuck it, I don't care. They can't do anything to me. This was years ago. When he was staying at another hotel, and they were all booked out. So that hotel called Zamora, and God, man, I shouldn't even be spewing their name or whatever. So
it's too late.
yeah, no, we'll pass that.
It's too late. We're not gonna cut it out either.
So they were like, "Hey, we're sending one of our A-listers over to you," and they were like, "Well, who is it? Can't tell you that." Okay.
Yeah.
So
Always,
Snoop
always.
walks in. Oh, all right. Like, no one knows who the fuck he is. So he proceeds to rent the 4th floor. He goes, "Love it here. I'm renting the 4th floor."
The entire floor.
The 4th floor.
Baller moves.
So then he goes, "I know there's no smoking. However, I'll be smoking."
Nobody's gonna complain. if it's
Nah,
the whole
he was
floor.
like, "What's the fine?" They're like, $238 per room. He's like, "Throw it on the black card." And just charged
Because
it.
they're gonna smoke in all
That's
rooms.
it. Yeah, like took the 4th floor and it's like, "Yo, charge me for each room." But then, he was the nicest dude on the earth. In the elevator, he was like tipping people that work there. So if you were a chef, you probably got a couple $100. If you're whoever, if you work there, you just handing cash out, just nice people.
Yeah, that's bucket list.
Cool as fuck. Yeah, I'm trying to smoke with the man.
That's bucket list to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I wish I could smoke. I can't smoke. It makes me drunk.
Does it?
I can't walk straight. I can't. I
Whoa,
slur my
really?
Words.
Oh,
it's
man.
like drinking a case of beer, which I don't think I've ever managed.
How hard did you go the first time you smoked? You went too hard in the paint. You went.
Yeah, hell yeah.
You were hanging out with pubs.
No, I mean it's just something I've tried it a couple times. Over
And it doesn't work for you?
It's not that it doesn't work. It just works too well.
Too well?
It just I
I mean-
get drunk. I have to have my friend hold me by the arm and walk me home.
Oh wow, it's like that.
Like
Wow.
I have
Yeah, it's
been
like,
at the club for too long.
Yeah.
So it's on the bar all night.
I imagine Jen stumbling back to the room with Jimmy Buffett playing in the living room.
Yeah.
With like a half-drank pina colada in her hand.
yeah,
And
damn
she's
right.
like, I shouldn't have mixed drinking and smoking. That's what I picture in my mind.
Oh, I would love that. Oh man, oh you delicate flower. That's great.
Yeah, we're pretty damaged on this. I would say. Yeah, it's pretty low. There's no turning back.
Nah, no, not yet.
Mm.
Do time.
All right, I'm gonna give her something.
Hit her with knuckle curveball, man.
All right. So what was the last thing we did?
We did a turn record.
Hmm.
We got Buffett out.
God, she's a Tarantino fan, and I really want to dig into that because I'm such a big fan. All right. Since you're a screenwriter, right? Hypothetically, let's say that your script gets picked up. Who do you hypothetically see in the leading roles? Dream, like, let's say your budget is approved regardless.
Let's dream big.
Let's talk about that. Who would you cast?
Okay, director.
Mhm.
I would love to have either Ron Howard or Oliver Stone.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Okay, Martin Harwitt, definitely Tom Hanks.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
All right.
damn right.
Because Martin is a very underplayed person, a very humble person.
Is there a picture of him in this? See, that's something that you should Google. Could you Google Martin?
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
I wanna
actually.
see
He has a Wikipedia page.
Martin Harwitt,
look-
Harwit. Let's cast him right now.
Yeah, I don't know. He's not going to want to listen to last week's episode that we haven't heard.
What? Let's keep going the cast while he's pulling that picture up of Martin.
Okay. For the well, let's see. There's Tom Crouch, who is a curator, and for him, I would think somebody. Philip Seymour is gone.
Oh,
But-
it kills me every time.
I feel like I've seen this cat before.
Huh?
I feel like I've seen him before.
Gosh, who would I cast with him? That's a toughie.
See, it's not so much about who looks like him.
It's about who can carry the presence.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah,
would love Barbara Streisand to be Connie Newman, but I don't think Barbara's taking any calls from me.
And she's underrated as an actress. She does really well in a lot of her roles, and I feel like she doesn't really get a lot of credit as I feel like she deserves.
Nadia McAvin.
He just found the Snoop video where he's
Sorry, yeah, sorry.
Go with Snoop.
No, this is staged. There's no way that's real. No way. Hold on.
he just starts laughing. I was like, what are you?
Sorry. Push play on
I'm
top.
telling you, he passed the ball.
I know, there's no way that was there's,
But you
there's
saw the video
It's
too,
a-
right? Yeah, you know.
That guy.
Oh, you sent it to him.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
we're talking about
Yeah,
devil's
yeah,
advocate.
yeah,
Jason's
sorry,
over here
yeah.
being the advocate. He's like,
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay, I might have hit play on the wrong one.
uh-oh.
Hopefully you pull that
She
one
hit
more.
play on
Hell
the personal
no,
video.
Snoop Dogg old video.
Oh, oof. About like midget meets unicorn or something.
I
Sorry.
always knew you were into that. See,
Swedish
not really.
girl
Just-
raps faster
just a little
than
dab.
Logic.
Nah, hold on. I don't want her to dig it too
I
deep.
think we
I'm
found
just
your
kidding.
secret page.
No, not at all. What? Look at.
yeah, now we're getting to know Jen.
No, all I did was click on the link he sent me. All right, here we go. Press that one. I just want to see your reaction.
Just to tell you what happened. We
So
we
what?
have the video
So
pulled
Jen,
up of
if
Snoop
if,
smoking.
if Snoop was sitting next to you right now and he passed it to you, you wouldn't smoke.
Yeah, I
Well,
would
she's
just
got her
fall out
friend
my
here.
chair.
Her friend's
And
here to help
He would
her.
have to help me.
Yeah, help you
You know.
regroup, help you pick
No,
up the
he
pieces.
would smoke me down to the floor and then just be like, bye.
You can smoke everybody down.
Yeah.
to the floor.
Try to get out of that.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Can't
funny.
say no to Snoop.
Yeah, you
I don't
can't.
know, I
That
can't
is
say
too
no to
funny.
Snoop.
There's no way that's real. That is classic. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no. No, Nadia is the exhibits director, or the assistant exhibits director, and I think Cameron Diaz would
Love
be.
her.
Man, Cameron's been ghost lately, and you got some good act. You trying to bring some people out of like slight retirement that are such great big talents. Like you said, Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, well, I have to bring him out of the grave,
Yeah,
so that's not gonna happen.
I love
Maybe
Seymour
he
Hoffman.
cryogenics.
Even in his corny roles, Seymour Hoffman is great. What's that movie where he was it was Along Came Polly? He was playing
Oh
basketball.
my
And he's like, let it rain. Oh, that is one of my favorite scenes of all time. I don't think he hit the rim for like 6 shots. But yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman definitely gone too soon. R.I.P. I miss that guy.
I think this entire screenplay, no matter who's involved, it has to be an ensemble cast because,
Absolutely.
I mean, the main character is Martin. You know, this is Martin's perspective for the most part, but, you know, there are political players, there are people at the museum, Jake Jacobs, which is the designer. I think Chris Evans would be a great role for that because I want to make him gay and I think he would do a great gay guy.
Have
I
you
don't
seen all the
know.
memes where they take Captain America and they put fake press-on nails on him and then he
No,
looks...
I haven't.
I'm definitely gonna get that
I
too.
don't
It's
get
Chris
on
Evans
social
go like
media.
this and he's got like fake nails and he kind of looks gay, but he said that's his favorite meme of himself. Is
Oh,
that.
really?
It's funny, yeah.
That's great.
I mean, social media might be a good way for you to get a lot of eyes and ears on this simply because you can start a group, or maybe there's a group with veterans in it. Because I would anticipate that veterans would be very interested
Yeah,
in the
that's exactly what I was
screenplay.
thinking.
You know, so just to generate a buzz, I think that would be a good way to maybe.
So you think I should head down the social media road?
I mean, it makes the world a smaller place, and I think it would behoove you because now you can even, you know, if you target market or, like, I can pull up. I create a page called St. Pete Beach Events.
Mm-hmm.
Has like maybe 10, 15,000 members, but it's specific to St. Pete Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is something that's going to engage, you know, a lot of veterans,
Right.
you know, and that affinity alone has millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think social media would be a great way for you to definitely throw some accelerant on it, you know, and maybe
Yeah.
I'd probably expedite the process of this being heard and seen, you know, because who wouldn't be curious about this?
And I do want to say that I think today's veterans are going to be torn in two.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's where it's gonna be a little hairy because you know you're gonna have people coming at you
Mm-hmm.
that don't agree with you.
Absolutely.
Because some people they can't have differences in opinion and still like each other. Some people will just automatically have to hate them. So, but as far as you know, whatever you want to get it out, you want to. I think that's a great way to do it. I would find a group that caters to veterans and let them know how it's inspired, explain the piece, and I really think that would gain a lot of traction that way.
Well, I do have every intention. I've been sending out the script to the character composites that I've done from the museum staff. And I also want to send it out to the Air Force Association and to the American Legion to let them know, hey, here is a screenplay, y'all were involved. And there are a lot of people in politics that this has been buried
Sure,
on purpose.
absolutely.
And many would like to keep it there. And I don't. I want people to hear this
To
story.
resurrect it.
Yeah.
The conspiracy theorist in me is like.
I love it. I love it. I
itching
love it.
right
I
now.
love it. I mean, I think it's a great way to do it. I really think you should engage because there's so many different groups and affinities on social media. I think it'd be a great way to do it.
I agree. Especially come like, you know, once the anniversaries start passing and stuff like that, and people start, unfortunately, just kind of when people nowadays look up information, they're probably going to search for the hashtag.
Mm-hmm.
Come the anniversaries for these specific dates, you know, for Pearl Harbor, for the bombing in Hiroshima and the bombing in Nagasaki, like these are good anniversaries that are highlighted. It would be a really good move for you probably to push that out there during these anniversaries. Like, hey, if you want information on this holiday and while we're talking about it and talking about, you know, never forget, it'd be a good time to kind of dig in and learn some more about your history.
Yeah, definitely. And I want, you know, this is a story that is, you know, it's entertaining. It's not just something that, you know, you're going to go and you're going to take a test on later. And, you know, it's not a biography where people just sit down and tell you their opinions. It is a moving, morphing kind of, it starts with squabbling, then it moves into more strategic positioning, and then the politicians get involved, and then all hell breaks loose.
Who would you cast as Truman?
I don't even think Truman has a role in this. No, he does his voiceover. I do have a voiceover of Truman giving his Day of Infamy speech when it plays over a archival footage of actual bomb being dropped on Pearl Harbor.
Mhm.
There was a ship that had a camera on it, and they're watching these Japanese planes fly over the naval ships, and he swings the camera to the right, and the ship right next to him that's in the dock blows up, and all the available sailors start running towards the ship that's on fire. And so while that scene is actually playing, you hear Truman's FDR. It's not Truman. It's
Did I say I apologize. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my mistake. Where's Martin on the fact check? He's gonna call me. See how he's
I played off it though. I didn't. It was FDR's Day of Infamy speech that plays over that. But President Truman, I don't include. It was his decision to drop the bomb.
So would you play like the original speech in the movie itself? You would play like the actual audio clip?
The audio clip of the Day of Infamy speech.
That would be cool.
It's kind of cut.
Yeah.
You know, I can't play the.
It's a long speech.
Right, yeah, no doubt.
You know, but it is played over some archival footage, and that's, you know, you were talking about Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
And that's one of the flashbacks I had. So
I always say I always wanted less Ben Affleck in that movie and more history instead of like the romance end of that Pearl Harbor movie.
Yeah.
This is exactly
Oh man, it's Hollywood.
what I meant by that. Yeah.
Man.
But then again, I want less of Ben Affleck and everything. But anyway, side story.
in most of the flashbacks, I do try to do them as a black and white imitate. If I don't have the actual footage, which I have found quite a bit of literal footage of these events, but if not, I have black and white to imitate footage, so it looks historical. It's not romantic. This is a romance of the mind and the emotions. Basically, there is no.
Now you're saying you had them? You have the recordings? Like you have multiples? Like a lot of them? A lot of video of the event?
Yes.
See, that's something you could be putting on social media. You would have got me right there.
See, I have a lot from the National Archives.
We gotta get her on. We gotta get her on Instagram.
Yeah.
ASAP. Because I would love to see that stuff. So yeah. See, you already got the material. You don't even need to really do anything, but just kind of push that information, the video, and then tell them about the screenplay. And you already got it. You already got it, Jen.
Oh well, thank you. Now I just need to get that agent.
She's already got video, and we're working.
Yeah, but
on
it's
video.
you seem like you do a lot of research. I mean, so finding an agent, I don't think it would be that hard of a thing to do. I mean, I would look in Vegas and LA, I would think.
Oh, that's where I have been focusing on.
And New York.
I think Jen's already got it handled, and she just doesn't want to tell us.
Probably.
Oh,
I think it's
wish.
already
Yeah,
in the
probably is.
Well, if I get a deal, I'll come back to you guys and I'll be like, it's all you. Thank you.
You book Ron Howard and Oliver Stone. You better come and get us for the
Oh my
premiere.
gosh.
So I would definitely love to see that.
But you know, I would love to see up and coming directors that kind of have that eye.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be the big names, because you know, somebody with a little name today is gonna be the big name tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Not that Ron Howard's going anywhere, because we love Ron.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I don't get my dream team, maybe I can get my new dream team.
Yeah.
Make them.
You
a
could
dream
create
team.
a dream team.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I think you're on the gold. So I look forward to reading it. These are for us?
Yes.
We're going to read them? Okay.
Really? These are also key?
Yeah.
Oh, I had literally
Yeah.
written down the names. so I
Yeah,
could buy
yeah.
it.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
So let's shout your email, and next time we talk, please tell me you have your social media on point, because I'm telling you, I really think you're going to have a large audience that's going to be captivated, they're going to be curious, and law of averages, it can't hurt you to have it out there.
Yeah, I agree.
That's true.
You know, and it would probably be the easiest way for this to really take off, because they're going to share it with other like-minded people, i.e. other veterans. So I really think that would definitely throw some accelerant on your situation.
Yeah, I definitely know a couple veterans that are history buffs, so I'm definitely going to forward this information to.
Oh my
I
goodness.
already have a couple of mine. But
Hell yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And for anybody who's listening, if they again want to yell at me or tell me I got something wrong, or
And don't yell at her, for Christ's sake.
hey, that's okay, I can take it.
But that's social media, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Oh no, let me cut you off real quick. If you were to cast Truman, what's that prick's name? The
FDR.
no. I'm gonna say Truman.
But you're really gonna cast Truman.
No. It would be the Quaker Oats guy. I forget his name. What's that would be my Truman at least. That's how.
Truman in there.
I know you can't, but you said Truman, and I'm thinking, right when you did that, I'm drifting. I'm like, what's the name of that Quaker Oats prick? That's what I was thinking about.
There's a sense, every day. What's the name of the Quaker Oats prick?
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know. He'll probably send it to me and distract me here.
So if there are any agents out there who are just dying for new material, again, it's enola.script@gmail.com. And if anybody who has an interest or has read the book or wants to see what kind of style I have for writing this sort of adaptation, because this is the first adaptation I've ever written, feel free to email me and I will respond to everyone who sends me an email.
Wow.
Ooh, that could get crazy.
Yeah. No, that's perfect.
I'm a writer, I can do that.
Yeah. No, good. Enjoy that. Well, let's. I think that's how we wrap this one up. I'm looking forward to what's going to take place. I think this is really going to have a captivated audience. I really see. I really believe it will. So gotta get it in the right hands.
Yeah, personally, I've already read the first couple pages, so I'm already intrigued. So I'm definitely gonna knock this out. I have a trip coming up, so I got plenty of time to knock that out. I'm excited.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Oh man, we appreciate
Thank
you
you so
coming
much
out.
for
And on behalf of Be More Mike as well as myself, Don Pablo, this is Talking Schmutz.
Peace.
We're out.